where the schools informed about this, the paradigm shift, so they can shift their learning as well. Because we know that they are listening on O level, they knew what they were expecting, but it seemed this was a surprise to some of them.
Okay, that is a clear question. Number 2.
Then the second question is on malpractice. They identified a number of people who have been culpable and those who have been taken to court and some information. But we are still seeing delays in convictions of these people. And previously, the neighbor had said that they are working closely with the judiciary to see maybe they can have a special court of sort so that these cases, when they come, they are quickly handled and people are served or maybe go.
Thank you very much, my brother. Let's have the next one. Brief and precise.
Thank you. My name is Ramson Giure. I work with NBSTV. I'll be precise, but I have about 3 questions. One, much as we saw the performance in terms of numbers being higher, general performance seemed to be lower compared to 2024. What would be the explanation for that? And also, why are we registering poor performance in SST, and how can that be addressed? The last one, third term almost had strike for almost the whole term by teachers. Did that affect performance? Did you try to monitor whether that might have had an effect in terms of performance? Thank you.
Thank you very much, NBS. Could we have the last for now? Oh, so we don't have more. Thank you very much. Let's have those answered. I'll request the ED to take lead and accordingly request any other support that you may need.
Thank you very much. Female candidates in some of these districts. We can only speculate, and I think it is very dangerous to speculate. That's one of the areas that I think the ministry may want to take an interest in finding out why probably also the proportions of girls reaching primary 7 may be a bit lower. And it is also possible that the family expectations on the female child is higher, perhaps, than on the boys, such that when they go home at the end of a school day, they may not have this pattern is persisting. The reason why children fail to understand issues about Uganda is also a puzzle to us. We see this not just at the primary, Mr. Kitubi, but even at secondary, UCE, USCE. Look at a subject like geography, where for a long time our curriculum has been addressing issues outside. And so when you bring a concept down to our country, we just don't seem to be aware what is happening in our environment. But if you ask that question about, you know, the Columbuses, Christopher Columbuses, and so on, the children would give you the answers. But if you bring something that addresses their environment, it is a problem that we have observed, and I think this is a teaching problem. One of the questions in SST, the very first question this year was for the children to name the material that the citizens of Uganda will use to select their leaders in the coming elections. So many of the children failed. Over 1,000 children failed that number, as they failed others. In fact, there are over 1,000 children who did not score any mark at all in social studies. And they also didn't know about the ballot paper. It is as bad as that. So the teaching that we are advocating for, although we have not gone what I would say full blast competency-based like we are doing in secondary schools, if the director NCDC was here, she would have said, she's available. So she will probably say about the shift that even at this level, although the curriculum has not been fully revised to the CBC like we have at secondary school, the shift is that the teaching should not be that theoretical teaching completely divorced from relating what the children are learning to what is in their environment, how they can use what they have learned in class to solve issues, address issues that are in their environment at their level of primary 7. When you read through the question papers, you'll see a lot of emphasis. Even in mathematics, the questions are asking the children, you've gone so-and-so has sold so many goats and they want to make a profit of so much. How much are they going to sell these goods? Things that are in the environment, in the community. But relating that, if you put that in figures, absolute figures, they will probably do it. So that is probably why we find children failing to understand this issue. About the religion, yes, they may know the actual facts as occur in the Bible. But when that question now requires them to relate it to values that they, at their age, should practice as taught by the religion, that application now becomes a problem. They cannot immediately see, yes, I have learned that I must pray, I must do this, but how does that help me as a child at this age? So that is where the problem is, why they are not they are failing to understand issues about their country. Another question in SST was, what lessons do we learn from each of the stanzas of the national anthem? They will sing the national anthem, but are the teachers telling them what these words refer to when we sing as Ugandans? How does it help us when we sing those words of the national anthem? So these are issues which I'm talking about, that yes, issues to do with our country, issues to do with our community are not being emphasized by our teachers in the class. And they certainly will need a lot of help, I think, in this. Mr. Kiseka, Radio Network, competency-based assessment where the learners informed. Our teachers know the paradigm shifts. Again, I think the director, NCDC, will say more about this. And also, we believe, as we have seen, the role that assessment plays. When you want teachers to teach in a particular manner as is desired, that is how your assessment instruments should be structured. the assessment informs teaching. And so the assessment must, although usually it is the curriculum that takes the lead and assessment follows, but in our country and so many other countries, you find that if you do not examine anything, nobody is going to teach it. If your assessment is still in the old way of list, name, and so on, that is also what the teachers are going to emphasize. But the curriculum requires, at this point, that yes, our children should be able to apply knowledge in their situations. And therefore, the questions should also be structured to encourage the teachers to structure their teaching in that manner. The chair of the board will add on that.
Okay, the chair will add, as we also welcome the Honorable Minister.
Welcome.
Chair,
So,
proceed to NCDC.
yes, so as the ED has alluded to the fact that the curriculum precedes the assessment, I think what is important is that UNEP does not go to Mars or to another planet, generate questions and bring them and present these questions to the learners. And you're aware that the very same teachers who teach the curriculum are the ones that we invite to set exam items. So it can only be common understanding that the teachers who are set these items, that is related to the curriculum that they're teaching, and that is related to the methods they will use for teaching. So I shudder to imagine that there are those who think that UNEP comes with their own examination to implement or to provide to the learners when the teachers, the classroom teachers, do not know what is in the questions. I think that is clear that let's not present a situation where somebody thinks that, or some people will think that UNEP have a different set of people or different people who are hired outside the teaching profession to set these questions. That should make it clear that schools are actually prepared for these questions because it's set by schools.
Thank you very much, Professor. May we now hear from NCDC?
Perhaps maybe I could finish these other questions and then move to Director NCDC to come back on. Mr. Kiseka's other question was malpractice, why there are delays in convictions. Previously, we were doing much worse than we are doing now. Before, like 2023, when you never had an engagement with the judicial officers who preside over these kind of cases, for them to appreciate the gravity of acts against examinations as security. And we have also engaged judicial officers at a higher level. We've been to the principal judge, we met the principal judge, we met the director of public prosecutions then, who is now the principal judge. And there is clarity now in the Directorate of Public Prosecutions. The cases that UNEP reports are taken up, and that's why at this point we have had 8 convictions. To us, 8 convictions is a lot compared to no convictions that we were having. And the fact that some of those people are being remanded by court Some were remanded right from the time they were arrested, including that district inspector of schools we talked about. He was only released, I think, about a week or two ago, plus others. So we see that the judicial system, it moves slowly. You will appreciate that. They move very slowly. And so we have other 15 cases being prosecuted across the country. And we believe that shortly there will be more convictions, because we believe the cases that we have against them are very clear. So there is progress. We would have definitely liked this progress to be faster. In fact, I think, I don't know whether I informed the press last year, at the release of last year's exam, UNEB had even prayed for a utility court that would be specifically handling UNEB cases. But we were advised that the logistics for that kind of court we may not be able to handle easily. And so we are going with the current court system. But we believe as time goes on, we continue to interact more with the judicial officers, we will get more convictions. The general performance was a bit lower, except for the first grades. That is something that we may need to look at. I don't know whether this is a result of the strike that where we had a number of areas, districts where teachers were not teaching at all. I don't know whether this had an impact. It is something we cannot speculate. But given the kind of results we are seeing, if that had an impact, then the impact was minimal. Why SST? I think I have previously explained in my previous answers why we are seeing these kind of problems in social studies and religious education. Perhaps now the director NCDC can come back on the issue of whether the children were aware that we are using this kind of curriculum. I think my chair has delved into a bit of that, but my colleague could come in.
Thank you, NCDC. Also to remind our dear media that we are also running short of time. We are planning to be out of here by about 3:10. Let's try to see how we catch up with that target. NCDC.
Thank you, moderator, and thank you, Honorable Minister and the Executive Director, UNEB, and Chairman, colleagues. Yes, in 2013, the primary curriculum was rolled out. It started in 2007 with primary 1 in a phased manner, in 2013 in primary 7. This curriculum that we are running now in the country is a competence-based curriculum. And when we talk about competence-based curriculum, it means that we are no longer looking at knowledge, but we are emphasizing application of knowledge in our everyday life. And when you have a curriculum, for it to be successfully implemented and for us to gain from it in terms of learning outcomes, there must be alignment in the curriculum that has been designed, the curriculum that is being implemented, and the curriculum that is being assessed. And as already alluded to by the chairboard of UNEB and the ED, UNEB cannot assess what has not been prescribed, because there must be that alignment. And UNEB works closely with the National Curriculum Development Center to ensure that that alignment is recognized during the setting of the items. But now when you are supposed to have an alignment in the prescribed, the implemented, and the assessed curriculum, and somewhere in the implemented curriculum, there is a mismatch, chances are that the learners may not know what is expected. And this is an assumption that could be the learners were not taught on how to apply the knowledge they learn to ensure achievement of learning, So the question was, were the learners informed? When the curriculum is prescribed, the teachers are oriented and they are told on how to teach. The methods prescribed in there clearly tell the teachers that they must use approaches that promote learner interactivity, and the curriculum also prescribes that the focus should not be on cramming, but it should be on application of knowledge in order to solve the everyday challenges. And so I want to say that that information at the rollout was shared, but it has always been shared. But now the challenge is when you're told to implement a curriculum by helping learners to apply what they've acquired, is it what is going on in the classroom environment? Maybe not, and probably that's the challenge. But as Ministry of Education and Sports, the information is clear. When you're talking about competence-based curriculum, you're talking about competence-based assessment. And therefore, you're expected to deliver using methods that promote application of knowledge beyond acquisition of knowledge. I will submit that.
Thank you very much, Edie. And I think in the interest of time, I want to request the commissioners present to quickly give any comment we will have so that we can take it to finish by 10 minutes from now.
Thank you. My name is Uzora Tayo and Commissioner for Government Secondary Education. I would like to add a rider on the curriculum, competence-based curriculum versus assessment. Colleagues, you must have heard in the speech of the minister, and also in the statement of release by the ED and even the chair board, there was mention of the examination bureaus. And you must have heard that the minister commented about those bureaus which come in to disorient the content of their examinations that schools and directors and institutions give to the learners, especially towards the onset of PLE and other exams, sort of deorient or confuse the learners, because these bureaus do not follow like the ED of NCDC has said, their questions are not aligned to what the curriculum prescribed and what has been implemented in schools, because the schools are looking at aggregate 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the process the child is crushed by these kind of questions they get from these bureaus. So in addition to what UNEP has mentioned and what the NCDC director has mentioned and what ministry has observed, this is an issue that is yet to be followed up to ensure that all the assessment is aligned to the curriculum, and as it has been mentioned, which curriculum for CPC for primary was rolled out in a phased manner from 2007-2013, and so if there is any interruption, then the performance should be as the training and the preparation has been, if there is no interruption from these other sources of assessment. Thank you.
Okay, as we get to wind up slowly, may we hear from Ajit Safina.
Thank you very much, Mr. Simmons.
I observed the protocol, but I want to say that all the questions that were asked, I think, they have been ably responded to.
Okay.
However, I want to request the press to be our ambassadors also as we go back to the community. I want to take this in relation to the question that New Vision asked. Why are the girl child not performing well? I want to believe that education is a responsibility of all of us, including the community and the parents. As we have heard from our side, we have put in place strategies, including having a right curriculum. Can you also request, as we go back, talk to the parents and the community to help us to see that our children are in school and they are studying? I thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Agent. Commissioner Harriet, any observation? Oh, somebody help me to switch on her mic. The last, the corner.
Thank you so much. I also want to add on what my colleagues have said to the press. Let us encourage the public to make effective choices of schools for their children. As a commissioner of private schools and institutions, some parents are negligent. They just dump their children anywhere, even to the schools which are not legally operating. Yet it is critical for a parent to make an effective choice of a school. Some of the private schools, especially which are illegal, there is no learning taking place. So it is my humble prayer that you sensitize the public to ensure that they make effective choices of schools for their children. I submit.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Harriet, and ladies and gentlemen. I think we're almost there. Council, somewhere you sat on the wrong side. I don't know if you could have any quick legal opinion. And as he settles in, just to add
deeply to be able to understand the underlying causes for some of the results that we have seen. So as a ministry, like the First Lady directed, we are going to study these results, analyze them, and then at an opportune moment we shall be able to respond to some of those issues in greater detail.
Thank you very much. So ladies and gentlemen, that marks the end of our press briefing today. I know that in your individual efforts, you continue to consult the powers that be for more information.